I'm Ashton Addison from Blockwest Capital for InvestmentPitch Media and the Crypto Coin Show. And today on Blockchain Interviews, we have Joshua Tobkin, CEO and co-founder of SupraOracles. Joshua, welcome to the show, and thank you for taking the time to come on.
Great to be here, Ashton.
Likewise, I am really excited to dive into this. A lot of people don't know a lot about oracles, and you guys are doing so much in this space that I think more people need to become familiar with as they sort of learn the intricacies of the cryptocurrency space. Let's just kick off our conversation by hearing a little bit about SupraOracles from you, and then we'll sort of dive into those details.
Sure. Yeah, so SupraOracles is a next generation oracle. We have heard of blockchains and smart contracts, but many people don't realize that the capacity and capabilities of smart contracts are kind of limited to the on-chain data. But when you can bring external data from the real world in, then what you can do with these blockchain smart contracts are much more excuse me, the stumbling over my words here, but the utility is much greater, right? And we can do so many more. So this is a very common theme that developers kind of come in from the Web2 world. They start thinking, okay, I got this really great idea. They jump into Web3 blockchain development, and then they realize halfway through, oh wait, actually I can't build that without getting external data from the real world into a blockchain. So we have a mechanism and a strategy and a technology that brings cryptographic guarantees to any data that we let enter a blockchain. And we do this at scale. So we have a lot of throughput, and fundamentally also we're kind of positioned as a middleware network in the middle of multiple blockchains, servicing this external data to multiple ecosystems.
Very cool, Joshua. Thanks for that intro. And yeah, I'd love to dive into that a little bit more, just for the people that are watching that, they hold Bitcoin and Ethereum, they're trying to get interested in DeFi, they sort of don't understand the back end too much. Oracles, you often hear without oracles like Chainlink or like these other oracles, DeFi wouldn't exist. But what does that really mean? Why does it not exist? Why is SupraOracles necessary for DeFi or for these price feeds? Maybe you could just explain that a little bit more.
Yeah, so once again, a lot of these use cases for smart contract platforms, they're limited in scope because they have to act off of some information. So if this information is purely just data that's on chain or historical information, then the kind of range of what can be done is limited. So there's many kind of use cases and products that can be created, including synthetics products. So this might be different other tokens from other ecosystems on chain. It could be digital assets represented on chain. It could be insurance products. It could be a wide variety of different services, including getting analytic and performance data on non-fungible tokens, NFTs. So there's actually a lot of things that can be done with oracles that you otherwise just really simply cannot do with blockchains without oracles.
Definitely, and as DeFi sort of exploded throughout 2020 and 2021, there's this increasing need for oracles for price data feeds and getting the pricing information to the exchange, because, as you know, those prices aren't encoded on the blockchain. It's sort of like the external demand of the exchanges and where the prices are coming from. And the smart contract can't have that programmed into it when it was written, because the prices are always changing, right? But there are other functions besides DeFi as well that have really tangible use in the real world. I hear about these farmers, insurance, crops, auto paying out, determining payouts in a smart contract depending on the weather or some other kind of external information. Where do you see oracles at right now? It seems like we need prices for DeFi, we need prices for these digital assets on the exchanges. Is that really the main use case for SupraOracles or these oracles, or are you actually working into other industries and other approaches for oracles as well?
Right. So we are working into multiple different industries and approaches. Actually, I do have a background in IoT myself. And, we built some early prototypes for a publicly traded company in Taiwan called Avantech. We also did prototypes and entered a kind of food safety challenge by Walmart China. and we're one of the teams that were like chosen as to present our solution, farm to table. That was a solution that included IoT as well as blockchains. Now, there are many use cases, of course, but DeFi is like the kind of low-hanging fruit. It's the most obvious, and also it's just clear product market fit in terms of where blockchains can kind of play a solution. Peer-to-peer lending, peer-to-peer kind of like banking, so to speak, and services, financial services, is in that realm. The whether it is DeFi or if it's related to IoT or supply chains, the truth of the matter is the quality of the data and the security of the data really, really matters. It's the whole entire game. The data integrity is the whole entire game. So what we're doing that's different than the others are we just apply additional rigor more than our competition. So much so that especially when it comes to cryptocurrency pricing, our methodology has a security guarantee of 100 times more data correctness guarantees than the incumbents. Now, I say that because of some solutions have a small cluster of nodes, right? And those nodes are not changing. And when I'm saying that's pretty much one of the major issues, when those nodes are not changing or rotating, those nodes, given enough time and given enough incentive, they will collude. We've seen this in the physical, like real world as well, with the kind of LIBOR scandal in the 2008 instance. This is where like trusted institutions, major like banks and central banks were actually colluding on the insurance rates or the interest rates rather. And this was having kind of global ramifications across financial markets. If it can happen in that setting, it's definitely happening across like anonymous node operators. Now, what we do in our model is we're bringing blockchain level security guarantees. We're bringing blockchain principles, applying it to the Oracle layer. And we leverage more nodes and we have more random selection and random rotation. This is part of our security mechanism. And we also are a proof of stake network. So the nodes have to bond our token. So we do have a cryptographically secure network. We also layer that with economic security through the staking. So yeah, this is kind of what brings us our differentiating factor. It's basically the inability to cheat.
Very cool. And yeah, that's a great point you make there, Joshua, because it seems odd that in the decentralized finance world, you're trying to get price feeds for a decentralized exchange, and the whole thing's supposed to be decentralized for the most part. But the oracles rely on price feeds, and those price feeds have to come from somewhere in the real world. How do you ensure that that information that you're getting is not changed or manipulated by some kind of centralized entity?
Absolutely. And even a little bit less like aggressive than that is small things like reading the data first, trading against the data before you publish it, so front running it, or delaying the publishing of it if you notice that it's not beneficial to your position or that kind of situation. If you do that, that's not as obvious as actually changing the value. Now, it's also hard to prove whether or not some of these solutions are adjusting the reported values by a couple basis points to their favor, So really what you want to do, once again, is you want to make it virtually impossible for this type of behavior to occur in the first place. And you also want to kind of organize the economics such that you create a racing condition to get the first node to publish the correct information. It's the reward. So that's kind of, these are the types of things that we're thinking about.
Definitely. Good point. And with SupraOracles, how deep are you guys into the DeFi space or in business right now? Sort of where's the platform at with the oracles?
So we are still in this kind of early stages. So we have a proof of concept that's effectively a private test net, right? We have select partners that we're working with and we're introducing our solution to. We are moving from this alpha test net, so to speak, into our test net phase in the next few months. And then we're going to go through a series of rigorous audits. That period is going to be, it could be 3 or more months, right? We're going to invite multiple audit firms from a variety of ecosystems to kind of make sure that our model is actually secure. And furthermore, we're going to create a large bounty program where we will actually invite anyone to attack our system and kind of really fortify it before we go to mainnet. We take security very seriously, right? This is this whole system, this isn't the real world where if like bad data enters, some system, you can just roll it back. These have like cascading consequences because smart contracts themselves compose with each other, they interact with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So really the level of security and the data correctness guarantees need to be as strong as the blockchains that are underlying, these ecosystems in the first place. So that's kind of what we're doing, and that's our focus. That's why, well, we want to move fast, and we are moving fast. We're moving fast without breaking things.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of our attitude. Yeah.
Cool. And I was looking at through SupraOracles, and from what I understand, and I don't know if people that are just getting into DeFi fully understand, is that it doesn't seem like the end user actually, is clicking a button like, check Oracle for price. It's all really in the back end. So who ideally are you partnering with to sort of make use of the Oracle so that the front end users get to use it through their software? What are those partners that you're partnering with already, or ideally are you looking at partnering with going forward?
Oh yeah. So we actually have 400 partnerships already in the works. So
Wow.
we've done a lot of early discussions with a lot of projects. A lot of them are DeFi, a lot of them are GameFi, and some of them are most of them do kind of have a financial component to it. Some of them might be sports related, right? Some of them might be prediction markets, but a lot of them are DeFi, and a lot of them recently are GameFi. So the way that it works is these protocols themselves actually will be calling our data periodically. One thing I want to mention is that we're building into SupraOracles an automation service. So this will take some time to roll out, but what this means is it's kind of a decentralized if this then that scenario. So if price drops a certain threshold, trigger this type of behavior, and remember, we're positioning ourselves as a cross-chain oracle. So we're in the middle of multiple ecosystems. So if some behavior happens in one ecosystem, have some sort of reaction on another, or triggers the transaction, this is the type of scenario that we're bringing to market that doesn't exactly exist yet in the Oracle space, like an all-in-one kind of solution to facilitate cross-chain DeFi.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. And with 2021, DeFi just continued to explode. And the more DeFi explodes, the more they need oracles for the prices as well. Where do you see, Supra fitting into DeFi by the end of 2022 and even 2 years beyond that? I'm sure DeFi trend will continue. Do you see that as one of the main focal points of just bringing those price feeds in, or are there other goals as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I do want to mention these things called constant function market makers or automatic market makers, AMMs, like the Uniswaps of the world. They're a really interesting innovation for the space, and they're very much responsible for a large amount of this this boom. Now, most of those actually, like Uniswaps, don't use a traditional oracle like ours or any others. Now, what we're interested, however, to bring to the market are the next generation of these AMMs that do use oracle data. This actually can mitigate what's called impermanent loss, where there's some value loss in these trades because illiquidity and such like this, as well as slippage, where there's when you do these trades, you might not be getting the best deal because of the way that these products are priced. We think that there's going to be some new innovations in that area using oracle data, and we think that it's going to be very exciting because ultimately we can basically get better accuracy. So while I do have a tremendous amount of respect for that innovation, I think that space in and of itself will evolve, and using oracles in unique ways will prove to do some very interesting things.
Mm-hmm. Very cool, Joshua. I didn't know that actually about Uniswap. I know the AMM is revolutionary, but there's definitely iterations and reiterations as we continue to grow, and the user experience and everything is only going to get better as it gets more mainstream adoption. So I'm looking forward to hearing about that. And you did mention earlier, you touched on a couple things like the upcoming mainnet launch and some of the goals that your team is working on. Maybe you could talk about in the first half of 2022. What are the main things that you're looking to achieve and get out from SupraOracles?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're trying to get to market as quickly as possible, of course, in a sustainable and secure manner. We have a couple of initiatives in the works that includes both, of course, a core Oracle service, as well as an automation network, as well as a verifiable random function, VRF. This is a very important service, and actually I have a pretty deep history in VRFs myself, that I can get into maybe some other time. But what this can do is, there's things like generative art and non-fungible tokens like that use randomness in order to like do a fair election. We have a very unique approach to this. Basically, we do use cryptographic primitives and signature schemes, special signature schemes, as well as we leverage the butterfly effect and the idea that a butterfly flapping its wing in Mexico can cause a tornado in Texas. That small things in the course of kind of at global scale can have massive like differences. And what we'll do is we bring this like the idea of like chaos theory, like chaotic systems, like weather data and prices of Bitcoin. No one ever knows really what the current price is going to be. We take this information as added entropy into our randomness. So very unique things can be done. I mean, for example, we had that, that it was I think it was like the Tonga volcano. Imagine like if you were able to like track back your generative art to that like that natural event. It'd be very interesting, kind of new ideas that we've been hearing about recently. These types of things do require oracles. And as far as our timeline, we are moving from our alpha testnet to testnet fairly soon, maybe in a couple of months. And then we'll be opening up, and we're actually starting to communicate to node operators already. And we'll be opening up our doors to kind of a variety of different ecosystems. The wonderful thing about the blockchain ecosystem right now is that node operators are very open to run nodes all across multiple projects. So it's been quite welcoming, and they've been quite open to work with us. We're going to slowly but surely decentralize this. This is during the testnet period. It will take 3 to 6 months or whatever it might be, plus the audits. But we intend to get to market as quickly as possible. So if we're lucky, we're talking about maybe the summertime.
Very cool, Joshua. And for more partnerships, more ecosystems, and just end users that are interested as well in learning more about SupraOracles and following along as you head towards the mainnet launch, what's the best way for them to stay involved and to learn more?
Yeah, so definitely, connect with us at SupraOracles on Twitter, also on Instagram. Excuse me, I meant Telegram. We don't use Instagram for this, but more recently, we are making a big push towards our Discord. Yep. So we actually have some interesting initiatives going on there. We have some incredible announcements. We're going to be kind of building up our community there. We have an ambassador program going on, and so I would say, look us up on Twitter, look us up on, Telegram, not Instagram, Telegram, and then also Discord. Yeah.
Awesome. Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Joshua. I will leave all those social links as well in the description box below for the viewers. I appreciate you taking the time to come on. All the best with the current trajectory towards the testnet and the mainnet, and let's follow up in the near future.
Yeah, Ashton, great. Thanks for having us, and feel free to invite us anytime.